Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wanted to be in a situation where money is just doled out to you, like winning the pools? You've just got it, you've got access to some cash, and you just spend it on whatever you want, really. Would that be nice? What if that cash was not quite as much as you would like, so not quite winning the Littlewoods football pools? I don't know if that's still going, or the National Lottery, but actually just a sort of basic amount of money, enough to get by on, but you didn't have to go to work for it. Would that be a good thing? A universal credit type situation? Would you think that would be quite handy? Oh yes, that would allow me to lie in the mornings and not bother to get up and go to work or do anything. And maybe that would be a lovely way to do it, that you no longer have to get onto the hamster wheel and do that sort of continual rat race of doing things because, well, I suppose what with AI coming and the threat of all these jobs disappearing, there won't be any work. So maybe people do need to have some sort of dishing out of some cash so that they can survive, because what are they going to do if your job's been taken away and what you've been trained for is no longer there? What are you going to do? It'd be nice just to have a little bit of something so that you can at least survive. You could go and buy your fags. Oh, no, you can't do that because they're trying to outlaw tobacco. That's it. I forgot about that. But at least you'd be able to buy your alcohol and sit there and watch screens, maybe. Well, it does seem as if Manchester has been set for a trial to see if this universal credit system is going to work. And I thought we'd have a quick look at this. This is in Time Out magazine. And thanks very much to the contributor who sent this in to me. And it says, this English city could be the first to trial universal basic income. Hundreds of homeless residents in Greater Manchester could receive £1,600 a month with no strings attached. Excuse me, where is that money coming from? Because I don't believe the government have any money. It's coming from us, the taxpayer, isn't it? Universal basic income scheme has been officially proposed for Greater Manchester, and Mayor Andy Burnham suggested that he wanted to introduce it to the region if he got re-elected last year, and apparently he did. And now experts have sent him a plan that would help do just that. Put together by the Universal Basic Income Lab, apparently there's a lab network, and Northumbria University, the pilot would run for 2 years and involve participants receiving £1,600 a month, no strings attached. Experts say it could help end poverty in the region and, to start with, want to offer it to people experiencing homelessness. So the cost of the scheme here, it says, is £7.68 million for 200 recipients. 200 recipients, or 3.84 million for 100 recipients. I wonder where that money is coming from. Presumably there is a public fund already do it. So anyway, I won't go into a huge amount of detail on that particular issue as such in Manchester, but just the principle of it. Is it a good principle? I mean, it's still back to fiat currency, isn't it? Money that actually means nothing. And it's about having just money coming, oh, look at that, it's coming down from the ceiling, as it were. The kind, nice, benevolent government, the nice council in Manchester doing them a favour. And of course, the homelessness people, you would imagine, well, that would be very nice for them. Except that, how does that work then? If they've got income coming in, will they now have to go somewhere and pay rent? Yes, they'll be off the streets, which is something that people do not want to necessarily be, although it's funny, you talk to some homeless people and they quite like the freedom and the ability to not have the stress that many people have. But that's a side issue. Will they now have to be paying rent? And how much of that money will actually go back into the system? That's the thing. But at least they'll be able to sleep, hopefully, in a bed and have some form of accommodation. But with that, does it come with responsibilities? But worse than this is where it gets extrapolated to perhaps the rest of people in Manchester or the whole country, in which now a universal income is allowed and allotted. One would ask, where is that money coming from? Is it as a result of all the AI jobs doing the work and generating sufficient revenue in taxes that the AI companies are now paying for the people so that people don't have to work because the machines are doing it for us? And is that a good mentality to have? That you no longer have to be responsible for any kind of income, even though that income, of course, is empty income, i.e. it's only token money, it's monopoly money, and you're just playing a game. But is there a sense of purpose in life, even if it is to earn sufficient to pay for the basics in your own life? If you take away responsibility from people, and that you make them dependent on something. Let's say money was a drug, for example. If you're now making people dependent on that drug, oh, yes, thanks very much, I get this every month. What happens to those people? What happens to people when a certain level of income comes in? Does that take away entrepreneurial? Now, if you were to offer this to everybody in the country, I imagine, and I have no idea and I've got no basis of these figures for it, but I imagine that, say, 60%, maybe 70% would say, yes, please, I'll have it. Thanks very much. We saw a higher ratio of people who had something injected into their arms that didn't even question what was in the substance, and even though it may be causing them issues now, not even questioning after the event what was in the substance and why am I feeling so rotten. So maybe the same people would be going, yeah, I'll have a bit of that, thanks very much, if it's being handed out. After all, we also see people posting their data freely available on places like Facebook and Twitter and other data collecting areas, which are, of course, taking that information. And if you're one of those people, then maybe you'd be quite happy to have the government do that for you. After all, the government does so many wonderful things for us, does it not? It decides whether we are going to be engaged in a war with other countries or support other countries. We don't really have to worry our pretty little heads about that, do we? Because the government, the kind, benevolent, all-encompassing government who now will own you, effectively pay you to stay at home and not think, and you can sit quite happily, merrily, supping some awful druggy solution that came from perhaps a supermarket that's full of non-food, and you can watch a screen and perhaps see real life through a screen as you're paid to basically just do not very much. I think 60% of the population would do that. I think 40%, maybe less, maybe 30% of the population will think, hang on a minute, this does not bode well. I want to think for myself, thank you very much. I have been given this amazing body. I can do incredible things with my hands. I can push myself to all sorts of limits, for not to the extreme, but I can get up in the morning, I can go and create something, I can do things. I want to live, I want to have fun, but also I want to perhaps run a business and help people and dream up ideas that might be beneficial to others. And I want to be able to look back at that time on my deathbed and think, actually, I made a great contribution. I supported my family. I helped these people. I kept people in employment. I gave them some purpose in life. And maybe those 30% of the people will say, no, I don't need you just to hand out free money, because in a way that's taken away the responsibility for me. And as perhaps, like going back to cavemen days, a man might say, I want to go out and hunt and bring the food in, and the woman might say, I want to look after and raise our children and keep them safe and nurture them so that they can repopulate the caves and the area, the world that we live in. And so maybe that 30% of the people will turn their backs on that. The question is the government going to permit people to turn their backs, or will we just find that this money comes into our bank accounts willy-nilly if we are a legal fiction, if we put on that persona of the name, the legal fiction? If you get a letter addressed to Sherlock Holmes, is that really you? Even though perhaps your mum and dad have said, oh yes, this is your name. Even if your school has trained you to understand that the name Sherlock Holmes is you. Even if your workplace calling you Sherlock Holmes and everyone's calling you Sherlock Holmes, why would you not believe that you are indeed Sherlock Holmes? Except that we know that Sherlock Holmes is a fiction and it's just been created, just as that name that you actually go by on a certified copy of an entry, which is the true name of the birth certificate that we all loosely call it, is just a fiction. And if you're in that fictional world, is it you that gets the money, or is it the legal fiction? Is it the name in all caps that will get this money? But you get the privilege because you wear the persona and you act as the fake character, then you'll get the money. Is it a good idea? Is it a good idea, the universal benefit, whatever it's called, let's find the true name of it. The universal basic income, what with universal credit and all these other things, they've muddied the water with the name, and they like to do that, don't they? So universal basic income, what's your thoughts? Would you like it? I mean, who doesn't want free money? That's why people do the lottery, isn't it? They want that instant hit. Oh, yes, I can go on cruises and I can do all that. But have people really lost their purpose? Have they lost their way in life in which everything has been done for them? Is there not a sense that actually we do need to take back responsibility for our lives? And that includes perhaps governing our lives with morals and ethics and doing the right thing. After all, I believe that we've all been born with morals and ethics deep in us. But the state is managing now, what with mainstream media, to erode those morals and those ethics. And we're believing all sorts of weird and wonderful things which may not actually be as beneficial to us. Be interested in your thoughts. Is it something that you would want to receive? You may say, yeah, but I could do great work with it. Could you? Or are you effectively now owned, although maybe you could argue we're already owned, by the state by putting on that legal fiction and acting out as that character in our lives? Be interested in your thoughts. Thank you very much. Take care. Have a good day. By the way, it seems to be sunny in the UK at the moment, which is almost unheard of.